everybody, welcome back to Tap Talk. I'm your host, Aceves-Lewis, here with my co-host, Qudisah Muhammad. Today we're here with Officer Simmond here with the HPD Dive Team. He's going to tell us a little bit about that sort of thing. Thank you for being here with us today.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime, I enjoy it.
Yeah, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your backstory with the HPD Dive Team,
Well, I tell you what, this was not in the plan. Actually, police work wasn't in the plan, but as far as diving, how I started, another coworker of mine said, hey, there's a guy on the dive team teaching people how to dive. You want to learn how to dive? And I've always been kind of a swimmer, enjoyed water, so I said, okay, I'll do it. And it was kind of actually a little bit cheaper way to learn because we're able to use some of the city equipment instead of having to buy equipment or rent equipment.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a cheaper way to do it, and I always wanted to go, when you go out of town or go vacationing, you always want to scuba dive. So, I'm not certified.
Right.
So one of the guys on the dive team at that time, he's no longer on the dive team, but he started with open water. He said, hey, you want to do the advanced open water? Okay. And it's like, hey, you wanna try to get on the dive team? Oh, okay. Well, take this 80-hour class. Okay, now take the PT test. And it's like, here I am, almost 12 years later, and I'm one of the dive instructors on the team. So I've come a long way, done some things that
incredible. I
never would have done. Some of the stuff that we were absolutely adamant about not doing, such as cave diving. And a bunch of us got into cave diving, and people say, how does cave diving relate to public safety diving? Well, sometimes we have to go into sewers, sometimes we have to go into overhead environments. So those techniques that we learn in cave diving help in diving safely when we're in those different environments.
Yeah. Wow.
So and luckily enough, I know a lot of people like Dr. Penn and one of my fraternity brothers. He was a principal at one of the high schools, and my name got around. So I do a ton of these career day events and career day to support the police officer events. Some regular community events, pit meetings. So we tend to do about 25, 30 what we call dive demos, but community events where we, put ourselves out there, tell us what we do, tell us what our job entails, about our backgrounds and stuff like that.
Nice. So what might the situation be that will require the HPD dive team?
Basically, so per our GOs, anything that is in 6 inches of water or more, we're required to respond to basically a dive call up. So not every situation we're on scuba. So this is kind of our typical scuba rig, but 99% of the time we are wearing our what we call our dry suit because of either hazmat or contaminated water situation. Sometimes it's just a wade or float into the water, but most so about I think we figured out about 2/3 of our call-ups aren't dives, but our call-ups can be anywhere from recovering a body, recovering a truck, recovering evidence. Evidence could be related to a homicide, related to a robbery. So there's a number of things that we can be dispatched to. So one was there was a safe in a creek. Now, could anybody get it? Well, yeah, but we get it. So the main reason that it's 6 inches of water, there was an incident, but I hope this is not too graphic. They encouraged the lady to get out of the car. Now, the water was only as high as the frame, but it swept her under the car.
Oh, wow.
So that's why, because of safety, our knowledge of the water. So not only I'm certified in scuba, we're also certified in swiftwater rescue and self-rescue. So we've taken those classes, we train in that.
Yeah.
We also train in boat operations. So we operate several different types of boats: Zodiac, flat bottom boats, aluminum boats. At one time, we were responsible for patrolling the ship channel but they had the chief wanted a whole separate unit, so we cut some of our responsibilities. We didn't have as much responsibilities, but a few of us on the team, we do have our captain's license to operate boats.
Oh,
So I've been really fortunate,
Yeah.
with all the things I've done on the dive team, things I've learned, certifications. Some of the certifications I had to pay for myself, because the city's not gonna pay for stuff, but we've been really fortunate with getting certain types of grants to fund, to get equipment, anything we need, so.
yeah. So you talked about how you had cave training. What kind of different kind of environments do you have to routinely dive in?
Basically anywhere there's water, so,
Wow.
we dive in the bayous, Ship Channel, Galveston Bay. We've done call-ups. We recently just did a call-up in Canyon Lake. There was a drowning in Canyon Lake, which was pretty unique because it was only 90 feet, because we had a situation where there was a drowning in Lake Travis, but it was over 130 feet deep.
Oh, wow.
And so only one of us at the time were trained to go to do deep dives that depth. We can usually dive to 130, but you start getting into over 130, now you're into technical diving. So you have recreational, technical, and then you have emergency response diving. And they all have a little bit of each, but they have their specialties. So recently, I think there's 3 or 4 of us now that are able to do the deep diving, because we've taken the side mount training, which allows us to carry more tanks. We do decompression, which allows us to use enriched gas to help with decompression when we're coming back to the surface. So we've taken, and that was actually, those things were out of our pocket. We had to pay out of pocket for those.
Oh, wow.
But it increased our ability and our to do more things on the dive team. We dove. Do you guys remember the Atlas airplane crash that happened in Anahuac? It's about 2 years ago. Well, we responded to that. Now that wasn't a dive. That was a what we call a crawl. So, because the water is only anywhere from a foot deep to 2 feet deep. So we were finding, basically we were responsible for help find the captain, because at that time they weren't able to find the captain or the red box and the black box.
Oh, my.
So we were responsible for looking for that. So we've, without getting too graphic again, we found basically body parts that they were able to identify the captain by his knee surgery.
Wow.
So it's just, you never know
Yeah.
what you're gonna get into. It's some things are typical. Then it's like, okay, we had this airplane crash. How are we gonna tackle it? Because that was totally a new situation for us.
I can't imagine.
So say you get caught out on a job, what would you say your biggest fear is usually when working a job?
My biggest fear, if I see it, are the snakes.
Yeah, I can
Oh, my
imagine.
gosh.
My other biggest fear is we work with some conservational groups and nature groups that they look for and tag alligator snapping turtles.
Yikes.
And if you ever look up if you haven't seen one, look it up. They are ugly and they're scary, very prehistoric.
Yeah, it's like a
But
turtle on
what's scary
steroids.
that they don't move that fast. And then what happens is we're always sticking our hands in stuff, because everything is what we do. We call it black water diving, so you can't see. Everything's by feel. So you don't know where you're sticking your hand in, what's in there. Is it just dirt, debris, or is there something living in there?
Oh, wow.
So, and that's probably like one of the scariest things. But you just think about something else.
Yeah.
I can imagine. So, with all the rhetoric about
So this equipment is a little untraditional. Can you just share with our viewers what we're looking at here?
Okay. Well, basically, most recreational diving people get their open or advanced open water certification, so they can go diving in Cozumel or Belize or something like that. Typically, they have basically a mask and a regulator that fits in their mouth, and they'll have what most setups will have what they call an octopus, which is if your regulator breaks or if your partner needs air, you can supply air. Most of the time we're self-reliant, but we do have redundancies. Unfortunately, this is kind of our basic rig because with our demos and I don't want to break stuff, but because most of the water we dive in is contaminated in some form of fashion.
Right.
So our equipment is a little bit more rugged because of the conditions that we dive in. This one doesn't have it. There's usually what they call a pony bottle. So if I run low on air or I run out, either I'm breathing hard, working hard, it's extremely cold, which will increase my breathing. There's an emergency bottle, but we calculate the people. There's divers or members of the dive team that calculate how much we breathe. They're monitoring our time since we can't see. There's someone else to do that. That's why we won't dive by ourselves. Some will help. There's two, but we always have multiple divers, multiple people on the dive scene when we're conducting an operation. And of course, the dry suit protects us from all the contaminants. This probably protects us from about 90 to 95% of the contaminants in the water. So it keeps us dry if there's not a leak in it. And then we have another suit that actually connects to what we call a hard hat. So we've actually had to dive sewer treatment plants. Some people have fallen in and died and fallen in, and we had to recover them. So we use commercial gear. And because of the contaminants in the ship channel, we'll use commercial gear to protect us from the contaminants because all that stuff is all in the sediment.
Right.
So.
Thanks once again, everybody, for joining us here at Task Talk. Again, I'm your host, Aceves-Lewis, here with my co-host, Qudisah Muhammad. Thank you once again, Officer Simmond, for all your helpful advice and all this stuff that you told us about. Very, very incredible to hear about. So thank you again for your time. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, everybody, and see you next time.